thank you for joining us for our main news here on ICU TV News. To begin with, let's take a look at stories that are making headlines. Zambia and UAE strengthen ties with focus on trade, mining, and strategic investment. ZACA raises concerns over high bread prices and shortwave loaves. Kambwili sentenced to 5 months for hate speech as High Court upholds conviction. In international news, body of former Nigerian leader Buhari to be flown home for simple burial. And in our sports news, Copper Queens to face Nigeria in WAFCON Quarterfinals showdown. Thank you very much for staying with us to present the main news. My name is Emmanuel Zimba, and now we take a look at stories in details. Zambia and the United Arab Emirates UAE have reaffirmed their commitment to deepening bilateral cooperation, particularly in trade, mining, agriculture, energy and tourism, following a high-level meeting in Lusaka. President Hakainde Hichilema emphasized the need to translate diplomatic relations into practical outcomes that yield real benefits. President Hichilema highlights the strong collaborations between the two nations on international platforms and stressed that economic engagement should serve as a key pillar in strengthening bilateral ties. Reaffirming the Mopani Mine Agreement as a flagship initiative, President Hakainde Hichilema reiterated Zambia's openness to attracting future investment in the mining sector and other strategic areas. He pointed to the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement as a critical tool to accelerating joint efforts between the two countries. President Hichilema also outlined Zambia's strategic priorities in energy, healthcare, and tourism. He emphasizes the importance of improving air links to Livingstone and upgrading hospitality infrastructure to support the country's growing tourism industry. President Hichilema urges government agencies to streamline administrative processes to ensure timely execution of agreements and deliver measurable results.
And your delegation, we're very pleased to have you here once again. You have been our visitor a number of times, and we have also visited your country a number of times, and this continuation of alumni partnership is very well appreciated from where we sit. Also to acknowledge my colleagues, ministers that are here, Secretary of Cabinet, and our team members, State House and those from other ministries. I think it's good that we are catching up with each other again. May I continue by, before I go to the content, acknowledging and expressing our gratitude to my brother, the President of UAE, the Vice and the government, ministers, and truly the people of the UAE for their graciousness, in many ways deepening our relationship, partnership, which is very important to both.
At the same meeting, Zambia's Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Mulambo Haimbe, welcomed the UAE delegation and highlighted the historic relationship between the two countries, which began in 1982. He describes the current period as a key opportunity to establish stronger diplomatic and economic partnership.
To Lusaka, Zambia, to Lusaka Central Constituency, where you are now. Mr. President, Your Excellency, indeed Zambia and the UAE have enjoyed cordial relations from 1982, when diplomatic relations were established. We are, Mr. President, I think at a time when would want to put in all the necessary frameworks, Your Excellency, to further strengthen this relationship. And the visit by His Excellency is crucial because it's a building block towards that, towards strengthening our diplomatic relations and our friendship. So you are most welcome, Your Excellency. Mr. President, I will end there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. The Honourable Minister of Mines and Minerals Development.
Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning, Honourable Minister. Good morning, my colleague ministers from Zambia Cabinet. Mr. President, just to highlight the fact that during your reign, we have enhanced relationship in as far as the mining sector is concerned. The Mopani transaction is one which is very phenomenal, and your government and the UAE government are partners, 51% for them and ourselves 49%. This is a deal that has really helped turn the fortunes of Mopani, and we look forward for this relationship to grow further, even in other areas of collaboration as far as the mining sector is concerned. Mr. President, you may realize that UAE and Zambia signed an MOU, which both parties now are working extra hard to try and implement the agreements that are in the MOU, so that there is more collaboration in the mining space. Zambia has gone further, Mr. President, through your policy direction to be able to do high resolution surveys so that we can map our country and discover more, the endowment of our country in terms of the mining space, so that even as these MOUs are being implemented, we are doing it from a position of knowledge of what this geophysical survey will give us. So really, the Mopani transaction is a major highlight in terms of the mining space in the relationship between Zambia and the UAE. I thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. Last but not least, the Honourable Minister of Commerce, Trade and...
Meanwhile, UAE Minister of State Sheikh Shakbout bin Nahyan notes that trade between the two nations had grown by an impressive 300% from 2019 to 2024. He also mentions that the UAE is now Zambia's second largest trading partner.
Thank you for your warm hospitality. The UAE and Zambia enjoy a long and withstanding relationship that keeps growing and expanding and benefiting the people of both countries. Mr. President, honorable ministers and attendees, from 2019 to 2024, our trade has increased by 300%. This, of course, goes to both of us as the benefit, and it's something we are grateful for, and we look forward to increase as well. The UAE, as of 2023, is the second largest trading partner to Zambia. Zambia has, of course, as well as the UAE, ratified the Air Service Agreement and the Promotion Protection of Investments, and also the avoidance of double taxation. Your Excellency, with that said, we strive to a better future to our two countries and reach bigger numbers in terms of bilateral trade, and more importantly, strengthen the bridge between our two countries. I am sure that we could conclude the comprehensive economic partnership agreement that would equally benefit the people of two countries and the businesses and the trade between our respective countries. Mr. President, allow me to conclude by thanking you, Mr. President, and your government for the cooperation and interest to expand this relationship in a way that is mutually beneficial. I thank you once again, Mr. President.
Thank you, Your Excellency. At this point in time, Mr. President, and through you, sir, I would would like to call upon the honorable ministers that are here present for their reactions, beginning with the Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation. Thank you.
And Zambia's Minister of Mines and Mineral Development, Paul Kaboswe, emphasized the significance of the Mopani mining deal in advancing bilateral cooperation. Under the agreement, the UAE holds a 51% ownership stake, with Zambia maintaining 49%, signaling a move towards more balanced and cooperative resource management. Mr. Kaboswe credits the deal with reviving operations at the mine and expressed interest in replicating such partnership across the mining sector. He also announces that following President Hakainde Hichilema's directive, Zambia is conducting advanced geological mapping to explore new mineral reserves.
My colleague ministers from Zambia Cabinet. Mr. President, just to highlight the fact that during your reign, we have enhanced relationship in as far as the mining sector is concerned. The Mopani transaction is one which is very phenomenal, and your government and the UAE government are partners, 51% for them and ourselves 49%. This is a deal that has really helped turn the fortunes of Mopani, and we look forward for this relationship to grow further, even in other areas of collaboration as far as the mining sector is concerned. Mr. President, you may realize that UAE and Zambia signed an MOU, which both parties now are working extra hard to try and implement the agreements that are in the MOU, so that there is more collaboration in the mining space. Zambia has gone further, Mr. President, through your policy direction to be able to do high resolution surveys so that we can map our country and discover more, the endowment of our country in terms of the mining space, so that even as these MOUs are being implemented, we are doing it from a position of knowledge of what this geophysical survey will give us. So really, the Mopani transaction is a major highlight in terms of the mining space in the relationship between Zambia and the UAE. I thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Last but not least,
the Zambia Consumer Association, ZACA, has expressed concern over the continued high prices of bread, despite a notable reduction in flour costs. ZACA Executive Secretary Juba Sakaya said it is unacceptable that the price of a 50 kg bag of flour has dropped from 1,150 kwacha to 950, yet consumers have not seen a corresponding decrease in bread prices. In a statement to ICUTV, Mr. Sakara further reveals that some bakers are repeatedly producing loaves that weigh up to 400 grams, less than the labeled 700 grams. He describes the practice as deceptive and unfair, warning that it not only eludes consumer trust, but also enables bakers to exploit consumers through inflated prices and underweight products. Mr. Sakara also calls on the Zambia Weights and Measures Agency and the Zambia Compulsory Standards Agency to carry out unannounced inspections at bakeries to ensure compliance with weight and pricing regulations. He appeals to bakers to act responsibly and allow consumers to benefit from the low cost of flour, stressing that the responsible business practices are essential to protecting consumers' welfare and market fairness.
As Zambia Consumer Association, we would like to express our deepest concern regarding the current pricing of bread, which remains elevated despite a significant reduction in the cost of flour. We know that the price of a 50 kg flour has decreased from 1,150 kwacha to 950. Yet, this reduction has not been reflected in the pricing of bread available to the consumers. We are also alarmed to learn that some bakers are producing bread that weighs 400 grams, less than the required 700 grams. This practice not only undermines consumer trust, but also allows the bakers to profit from both the inflated price of bread as well as the sale of underweight products. As ZACA, we urge the bakers to pass on the cost saving from the affordable flour to consumer promptly, In addition, we call upon Zambia Weight and Measures and ZACA to pay a surprise inspection to all bakeries to ensure that compliance of weight regulations is adhered to. We hope that bakers will act responsibly by reducing the price of bread, enabling consumers to benefit from the decrease of the flour price.
The High Court in Kasama has confirmed the conviction of opposition leader Chishimba Kambwili for hate speech, sentencing him to 5 months imprisonment with hard labor. The original conviction was delivered by Senior Resident Magistrate Simon Mumba, who underscored the importance of a custodial sentence to deter hate speech and foster national unity. The High Court dismissed Kambwili's appeal, upholding the earlier conviction by the Kasama Magistrate Court. Kambwili will serve his sentence at Milima Correctional Facility in Kasama. The case stems from Kambwili's remarks on Radio Mano during the 2021 general elections campaign, where he used tribal and regional slurs targeting the people of Southern Province. The High Court emphasizes the seriousness of the offense, citing the need to deter hate speech and promote national unity. Despite Kambwili's status as a first-time offender and his health conditions, the High Court deemed the sentence necessary to address the broader implication of his actions. In other news, a high-level delegation from Education Above All, EAA, accompanied by members of the international media, is in Lusaka on an official visit to the Ministry of Education. The delegation paid a courtesy call on Dr. Kelvin Mambwe, Permanent Secretary for Educational Services, to discuss Zambia's strides in expanding access to quality education through innovative digital initiatives. The visit centers around the Digital Schools Project, DSP, an educational program launched on January 18, 2024, aimed at enhancing learning opportunities for vulnerable and underserved learners across the country. The project was initially implemented in 3 districts, Chibombo, Kafue, and Lusaka, with 8 learning centers established in its pilot phase. The centers, comprising 2 in Chibombo, 2 in Kafue, and 4 in Lusaka, began an inaugural cohort of 247 learners. Since its launch, the program has significantly grown. The second cohort had enrolled 1,142 learners, while the third currently supports 534 learners. Meanwhile, Ministry of Education projects that by the conclusion of the pilot phase, the initiative will serve a total of 3,573 learners. Spearheaded by the Directorate of Open and Distance Education, DODE, the Digital School Project is being implemented in collaboration with key partners, including EAA, GOORU, and VOOB. The program is a critical component of the ministry's broader agenda to leverage technology and inclusive practice to close the educational gap for marginalized communities. As part of their visit, the delegation will tour selected schools in Lusaka and Chibombo district to assess the implementation and impact of the initiative on the ground. Dr. Mambwe expresses appreciation for the continued support from EAA and its partners, noting that the Digital Schools Project represents a significant step towards achieving equitable and inclusive education in Zambia. We take our first break. Join us on the other side as we bring to you more in our local stories. Stay tuned.
We are the dreamers reaching for the sky. At ICU, together we will rise. With knowledge and passion, we aim to achieve a future so bright, with more to believe. We're building tomorrow with hearts full of pride. Innovation, progress, we won't be denied. From Lusaka to the world, we stand tall and strong. ICU, this is where we belong. ICU, we're rising high, with education as a guide. Together we'll break every limit. ICU, the future's infinite. Knowledge, passion, strength, combined. shine, leading the way to a brighter day. Innovation will pave the way. I see you, we're rising high, with education as our guide. Together we'll break every limit. I see you, the future's infinite. Knowledge, passion, strength combined. I see you, we're one of a kind. Onward we march with dreams so true. I see you, we believe in you. I see you, we believe in you.
Thank you very much for staying with us. We continue with our local stories. Tobacco farmers in Eastern Province may soon see an end to their marketing challenges following the entry of a new buyer into the market. According to Acting Regional Manager for the Tobacco Board of Zambia, TBZ, Brighton Mubenga, farmers were left in a difficult position after an outgrower company pulled out unexpectedly, leaving a large quantities of tobacco unsold. Mr. Mubenga reveals that around 4,000 barrels of Barei tobacco remain unsold, but a company called Park Industry has stepped in to start purchasing the stock. He made these remarks while addressing Eastern Province Deputy Permanent Secretary Loaves during the recent concluded Provincial Agriculture Commercial Show. In response, Dr. Mwape emphasizes the importance of addressing the issues faced by tobacco growers, and he's invited TBZ representative for a meeting to discuss the situation in detail and identify potential solutions. The Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit, DMMU, has conducted training for community-level disaster management committees across the country to enhance disaster preparedness and management skills. Acting Principal for Early Warning and Preparedness at DMMU, Virginia Milele, stated that the initiative aligns with the 2024 National Disaster Risk Management Policy, which emphasizes disaster risk reduction rather than reactive response. She points out that the country has traditionally taken a reactive stance towards disaster, underscoring the need to adopt a more proactive strategy. Speaking at the Zambia News and Information Services ZANIS in Lusaka, Ms. Milele reaffirmed DMMU's dedication to improving disaster preparedness through initiatives such as early warning SMS alerts. We go for our second break. Join us on the other side as we bring to you international and sports news. Stay tuned.
The Information and Communications University is driving the thrill for the nation in research and development. Enroll now for full-time and distance programs in the School of Engineering, Humanities, Business and Education. To apply, visit our website at www.icuzambia.net or call us on +260 211 221 662 or 0966 342 359. Sponsorship is available. Enroll now.
In international news, the body of Nigeria's former president Muhammadu Buhari, who died aged 82 in London clinic on Sunday, is being flown home to be buried in hometown in Katsina State. Katsina State Governor Diko Rada, who is in the British capital with Buhari's family, said he would be buried later on Monday in Daura town, 50 miles from Katsina City. Nigeria's Vice President Kashimu Shettima is also in London and will accompany Buhari's remains back to Nigeria. Rada told DW Hausen that he had just left the deceased's family at the hospital where he died, and that the decision was to take his remains to Daura for burial, with plans to leave in the morning. Still in international news, dozens of people have been killed in an armed crash between Soni Badeon tribe fighters and Druze militiants in southern Syria, according to local media reports. The violence erupted in the predominantly Druze city in the provincial of Soweida on Sunday, 2 days after Dzudze merchant was reportedly abducted in the highway to Damascus. The Interior Ministry said security forces had been deployed to restore calm, but fighting continued in western parts of the province on Monday. It is in the latest outbreak of deadly sectarian violence in the country since Islamist-led rebel forces overthrew President Bashir al-Assad in December. Jumping to our sports news, the Zambia women's national team will face Nigeria in the quarterfinals on the ongoing Total Energy 2024 Women's Africa Cup of Nations. The Copper Queens finished second in Group A, while the Super Falcons finished top of Group B, both accumulating 7 points. Zambia will be looking to replicate what they did 3 years ago when they edged Nigeria 1-0 to win bronze. Skipper Barbara Banda says the Copper Queens are ready for any team that comes their way. After conceding goals in their first 2 matches, the team finally kept a clean sheet with a 1-0 victory over DR Congo on Saturday, securing a place in the last 8. Coach Noe Haptel and her team will need to be at their best to beat the WAFCON timeless favorites, who have beaten Zambia twice in their last 3 meetings, losing just once. Nigeria have been African champions 9 times, tied for the most continental titles globally, with China, AFC, and the USA, CONCACAF, while Zambia's best run was 2022 when they came out third. The positive for Zambia is the last time they met, it was the Copper Queens who emerged victorious by a goal, which was scored by Evelyn Susan Katongo. The 2 teams will square off on Friday, July 18th for a place in the last 4. And that sports item brings us to the end of our news today. But before we go, let's take a quick recap at stories that made headlines. Zambia and UAE strengthen ties with focus on trade, mining, and strategic investment. ZACA raises concern over high bread prices and short way of Loaves. Kambwili sentenced to 5 months for hate speech as the High Court upholds conviction. And in international news, body of former Nigerian leader Buhari to be flown home for simple burial. And in sports news, Copper Queens to face Nigeria in the WAFCON quarter-final showdown. We would like to thank you for choosing to watch ICU TV News. Remember, you can find us on all social media platforms, and you can visit our website, that's ICUTVZM.com. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Emmanuel Zimba, and I say stay blessed.